You work for it. They print it out of thin air. The politicians in Washington. This is a problem that crypto can solve. This is the Stocks with Josh show. I'm going to be breaking down some interesting crypto news stories as well as diving into the S&P 500. We've completed the trade week. We've printed that weekly candle and the daily candle. And I'm going to tell you guys what I think it means for going into this next week. Do we have a confirmation of the bull, or are the bears showing their strength? I'm going to let you guys know. We're also going to be looking at Ethereum. Ethereum, the spot ETF got approved, but the price has pulled back. A little bit of momentum lost. I'm going to take you guys into that Ethereum chart and give you guys a prediction of where we might be. Now, we're going to need some confirmation of what I'm going to show you guys, but the chart looks fascinating. And if you begin to unload your Ethereum too early, or if you take profits too early, you could be missing the biggest run yet to come on Ethereum. So don't ever take my bullishness and get more bullish than me. Remember that when I come out and share a trade idea with you, I'm also sharing my disciplines. If all I had was ideas and didn't have disciplines, I wouldn't be in a position to be sharing this knowledge and sharing my success with you guys. This is the Stocks with Josh show. I appreciate you being here. Hit that like. Throw a heart, say hi in the comment, and hit that subscribe. If you guys need help making those predictions and learning those charts, I'm sharing my path here on Wall Street each and every day. Okay, well, we had a very interesting news story in crypto. Let me take you guys over to that. We lost a pioneer in the space, and that's the Doge dog. This cute dog's face has become the icon of meme coins. A space in crypto in which billions of dollars have flown in, and it really kind of, that journey began with having this iconic dog that people rallied behind. His name is actually Kabosu. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but I'll tell you what it means. It means pumpkin, because he had a cute, rounded face. He lived a good life. He was loved. And he recently passed away. And one of the questions I'm going to be asking today is actually about animal spirits. And you're like, Josh, what type of mojo are you getting into? Well, animal spirit is actually a crypto term, and I'm going to share with you what it means, because some are speculating that with this Ethereum spot approval and this potential emergence of an altcoin season, we're going to get into, I guess, the animal spirits. Let me share that article with you. Analyst says Ethereum spot ETF's approval will see animal spirits reignite crypto. What does this mean? A crypto analyst has made a rather cryptic prediction suggesting that the approval of the Ethereum spot ETF by the United States Securities and Exchange Commission could unleash a new wave of animal spirits. This term in crypto is often used to describe an irrational exuberance and optimism that fuels financial markets. So what I want to talk to you guys about is the fact that the financial world is changing, and there's a lot of people that are just beginning to start their journey on Wall Street, and a lot of them began it over in crypto. Why? Because crypto had identity, personality. Some people viewed it as sexy. Some people just cannot stomach the idea of buying a bond because they don't either understand it, or it just seems part of existing finance that largely they've rejected. Yet I've been saying it before, the meme coins have a unique connection to financial investors, and that's why they're relevant. I'm just going to remind you guys of the three principles that I use to analyze any crypto project. It's going to be regulation, community, and technology. Well, Dogecoin passes that test because we know that it wasn't a security, because it was never used to raise any capital. Now, we know that it has a community because it's actually the 6th largest crypto project by market cap right now, if you take out the stable coins. And the problem, though, that many would argue is that it just doesn't have any technology. Now, some will tell you that it does, but I'm going to agree with them that the problem is that it doesn't actually solve any major problem technologically. You know, Litecoin was an offshoot of Bitcoin, and Dogecoin became a copy of Litecoin, and so it's not bad technology, but it doesn't really solve a problem just yet. Now, I've been talking about this with Elon Musk because he took a liking to it. And if he were to marry the community of Dogecoin, that following, with, per se, the X platform, now it's got its technology. technology and it can really take off. So I don't ever want you guys to think that I've lost my bullishness on Dogecoin. I think it's the Bitcoin of the meme coins, and I think it's going to stay around because it's been around and it's only been going up in value. Now, I have made a video over the last year that how it could dollar, well, it needs that adoption from Elon Musk. If it doesn't, okay, so let's say Elon just doesn't step up as the Doge daddy, and we go through this cycle with no major adoption. I believe that Dogecoin is still going to be a relevant project, but I want to tell you guys that the top could be in the 30-cent range, apart from a major move from Elon Musk. Now, if we do go into an altcoin season, I think that Dogecoin is going to pop its way right up in there, 30, 36, 38 cents, somewhere in that range, which means that there is a ton of opportunity yet in Dogecoin. Now, this video is actually not about Dogecoin, but I thought I would throw it out there in tribute to Doge Dog with the pumpkin face. Now, what we need to cover, though, right now is Ethereum. All right, so here we have a long historic view of the Ethereum chart, and I would tell you that we're looking at this cup and handle potential pattern over the course of the last couple years. Now, I just want to take you back in time because Ethereum has done this before. So if we go back to a previous point in which it broke out, we had the exact same thing. We've actually had a number of versions of it. We had it here back in the day where we broke out above around 1300. We actually had a smaller version of it right here. But you can see that once we got back to the previous all-time high, that's when this party really began. And so we're making a very similar shape right now. And we've been slowly on this journey all along the way finding support. We found it there, we found it here, we found it here, and we found it here with a massive green candle. We are not breaking down in the Ethereum price. Now, I put this little pinchy emoji to illustrate the idea of a squeeze. We're going to be watching for a squeeze above 4,000. If we get a price that moves above 4,000, I think it's a very fast path to 4,800, right? There'll be a little bit of price action around 4,400 there, right? Now, I want to point out a couple things as we zoom in on this chart. We are within this cup shape, right? So we've not broken down. That's the number one point that I want to make today, is that people begin to second guess every little price action move on Ethereum and Bitcoin when the chart itself is completely bullish. There's absolutely nothing about this shape in price action that is bearish. The only way that we could begin to take a defensive and bearish view on Ethereum right now is if we were to open and close a couple daily candles or a weekly candle outside of this cup pattern. We've got a little bit of room in this cup pattern, right? Before we could potentially hit this cup pattern again, could possibly be actually around mid-July. And so the price action can remain in this area, digesting, right? And we're absolutely in an extremely strong bullish move at this moment. And so I just wanted to take this time to remind you guys that there is no bear signals on this chart. We can remain fluctuating between 4,000 and easily 3,600. And I'm going to tell you guys that this is absolutely a buying opportunity for this coming test of 5,000. And if for some reason we got above 5,000, then we could find ourselves in one of these bigger moves that Ethereum has done repeatedly. What type of move was this? This was an 873% move. So I just wanted you guys to have a clear picture of the opportunity with Ethereum. Now we're going to go into the S&P 500 chart and we're going to ask, how did today's candle, the daily and the weekly close, how does that set us up going into next week? Before I take you guys into that, let me take a very quick station break for the MOOMOO investment app. You've got a limited time left, about a week, to get 10 free fractional shares if you deposit $100. They're going to give you 10 fractional shares of the Magnificent Seven, limited time offer. So click on the link and check that out. Okay, what has happened with the S&P 500 chart? Let's go through it. You guys have seen this chart on my page many times, and I think that we are seeing answers in this chart, and I'm going to go over exactly what we're seeing. Now, if you guys have been with me, you've known that I have suggested that once we got over the all-time high, which we did back over here, we got all the way up to around 53.40. Once we got over it, we were expecting at some point that we would back test the previous structure. Previous structure was at 52.68, and we wanted to see it come back and back test that and bounce. Now, we did get a little bounce, but the reason why I've got this little area circled over here is that we have an inside low volume green candle day, and it simply means we just didn't bounce hard enough. Now, what we needed to see today for the bulls to take control back from the bears is the only way that we could know that going into next week is if the bulls brought it all the way back to this 53.40, and we needed to have closed a few degrees higher than that, like 53.48, setting us up going into next week for a major move higher. We didn't get it. We got an inside candle, a weak inside candle. Now, let's break down what that means. I still have the little smiley face guy with the heart eyes here because we're still above the structure of 52.68. We don't panic until we get beneath 52.68. That's going to be phase one panic. Phase two panic would be to get beneath our ascending channel. Neither of those things have happened. You want to take serious caution on any of your trades if we open a candle beneath 52.68. Now we go back over here and we see that after the bears took control of the market back in April 4th, the bears had a dominant play that the bulls attempted these 3 days after to rally, but they failed. They never really regained control from the bears, and then we know that gave us a stronger downturn. And so that's what we're setting up for. So the first thing I want you guys to understand, we didn't get the strong move that we needed to know going into Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday that we should load up in our bull positions. So we didn't get that. We got a weak inside candle. Now, we're not confirmed bearish, but unless Monday's candle drives us back to this middle and above, then we've got to assume that next week could get ugly. Now, what I want you guys to understand this means is this. You want to be cautious going into positions on Monday until we get confirmation of a bull move. You want to be cautious going into bear positions on Monday until we get a confirmation of the bear move. The market was not strong finishing out this week, all right? It finished the week weak, but it didn't give us clear direction going into next week. I'm going to tell you guys, and I think some of you guys are getting it because I'm seeing it in the comment section, that you're understanding what we need to see out of the S&P 500 to be confident and to believe that plays like the SPXL are going to make us hundreds of percentage points next week. So we don't overtrade. Remember the 4 principles. The 4th principle in discipline I share with you guys is not to overtrade. Sometimes you might hear these principles and go, well, I don't really know how to apply them. I'm going to tell you right now. You wait for confirmation. I'm going to tell you that if we get above that bear candle that we got on Thursday, that's confirmation the bulls have taken charge again. And that's when some people will sell out of their positions, and that's when I'm going to load up on my position for a much bigger move higher, giving us hundreds of percentage points. Now, depending on what you're doing, if you're doing options or you're doing shares, there's opportunity. It just depends on what your capital is. But I wanted you guys to have a clear picture going into this week. I wanted you to be aware of the Doge dog that passed away. And I also wanted you to remember that Ethereum chart. Remember, guys, I give you the plays in advance. You've got time to research. You've got time to think about it. I've shown you what I've seen in the Ethereum chart. If we got back up to 4,800, there's going to be people who are bearish-minded, and they're going to begin to cash out, right? But I just showed you this long-standing pattern of a cup and handle move on Ethereum. There's cup and handles within cup and handles, and we're making another cup and handle. And so the first thing I want you to take away is that we've got that time between now, and I gave you mid-July before we get to the edge of the cup, before Ethereum needs to choose a path. So it's okay if we see volatility, but if you're bullish on these markets, you want to be looking for that cup to hold, and you're going to be looking at buying the dip at least until we get that test of 4,800. I'm not advocating to sell your bag then. I'm telling you that you would raise your stop loss and hold brace yourself for what could be a really big move in Ethereum. Those are my thoughts for today. I'd love to hear from you guys in the comment section. To stay connected to these trades and to these charts the way that I'm teaching them, you got to hit the subscribe button. Appreciate all of you guys. Talk to you soon. Peace and blessings. Take care.